Wow, Deborah, welcome. I hope you are feeling better than yesterday. Okay, so we've already informed the attendees. We have attendees already here. We've informed them that we'll be starting in the next 5.
Sure.
We would wait a bit for David, then you can get acquainted with each other while we wait for David. Thank you.
I'm much particular about knowing the gentleman in the glasses down there. Hi, I'm Adebra. I'm a big fan.
I won't mind you. How you doing,
nice to meet you.
It's been a while.
All right. Michael, nice to meet you. Mike, your microphone is off. Mike's mic is off.
Yes, nice meeting you, Rev. I'm also a big fan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I've always wanted to ask how tedious the job is to be a lecturer. I mean, for you, how tough is the job?
As tough as being a teacher, basically. And the reasons people want to run away from teaching is basically the same thing, yes. Just that the beauty of it is that you deal with mature people.
Okay.
Of course, students in the university are mature, then there are ways of going about it. So, and it makes it fun. It's more or less collaborative learning. You learn from them, they also learn from you. And it's fun. It's fun.
All right. Along the line somewhere, I wanted to be a lecturer, but I mean, I dropped it when I got to uni. So back in junior high school, my mom and I used to attend the St. Anthony's Church, Catholic Church at KNUST. And so, I mean, it was a whole level of prestigiousness for some of the lecturers because they had a particular side they seated at church. And so they sort of like had a special treat anytime.
Wow.
And so I developed interest in wanting to become a lecturer until I got to senior high school, and then I actually got to uni and realized, it's no easy job. I mean, it takes a long time to get there, and then when you get there, you have to deal with mature people who are stubborn, you know. And I just decided, I'm just gonna drop this one. And so, guys, Sushi and Bernadine, we're going to be live on Facebook when Stella joins us, right?
Okay, so I think we are live on Facebook now. David is in. David Ajay. Hello, David Ajay Frimpong. Welcome.
Okay, I think I've seen the live feed on Facebook.
Yes.
I'm trying to monitor it on here.
All right.
So David is back. David is here.
Yeah, I want him to acknowledge that he's here so we can officially start.
Sure. Is Stella here as well?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm here. I'm online. Can you hear me?
Oh, sure. I think Stella is ready with his presentation, so.
Yes, Stella is ready with his presentation. I would like to show the video from ACT before we start.
No problem.
Yes. Has David? Okay, David just came in.
So I'm seeing 191 attendants. For the attendees. Okay. On Facebook. That is on Facebook alone. Okay. All right. Yeah. Share now. Click. So I'm
over
sharing.
Here we have 10 attendees.
Okay. I've shared the feed on my timeline, so I think people on there can see it as well.
Okay. So I'm sharing the screen, and then after I'm done, you are good to go then.
Sure.
As we all know, investing in quality education is vital. I recommend ACity University. My name is Irene Opari, aka Clean Mama. I am an actress. My daughter, Yawa Fafakai, she is in ACity, 3rd year. I heard of ACity from my daughter Fafakai. ACity guys went to their school to talk about the school to them, explain the courses and all that to them. And in fact, they were not the only school that went there. There were other schools that visited them. And when she came home, she just spoke about Academic City, and she just said she wished she will go to that school. She wants to go to that school and all that. Beginning, I didn't understand her because there were other schools that came there. So why Academic City? But she said, okay, we should just check online. So we Googled Academic City and then we read about the school and all that. Yeah. I spoke to Dr. Fred of your school and Rebecca. In fact, I spoke to the two of them. I called them, I met them, I spoke with them, and they really explained everything to me. In fact, the promising ideas and innovations they talked about for the school really knocked my socks off. Yeah, so eventually, Academic City University took the cake. It has been what I expected and even more. Yeah, because my daughter is now very bold. Her confidence level is at skyrocketing. She makes very excellent and brilliant decisions. With all these qualities, I have no doubt that my daughter will be ideal in the corporate world. In fact, during this COVID period, her studying has been perfect. Look, I don't know how you guys do it. I don't know how Academic City, how you do this, because she's always doing it like as if she's in school. She has maybe lectures 2 hours. She has another one immediately after the 2 hours. She has another one. She has it till like 5. As if she's in the classroom, lecture hall, so it's been perfect. We chose ACity. And the results has been amazing. I am a proud ACity parent. What are you waiting
All right, so guys, welcome to our webinar series hosted by Academic City University. My name is Eskin. I'm a radio host. I currently work with Global Media Alliance for Y107.9 FM. I do the Y Leaderboard series, and then I also host MTN Hitmaker as well. I'm not here alone. I mean, today we're here to have a fun and educative conversation around the term Comerica. So from when, the term became popular here in Ghana, it sprang from Kumasi and went global. I think last Friday or Thursday, Virgil Abloh actually, made a post about Comerica once again. Of course, sent gifts from America to Ghana here. To a few of the players in the Kumasi music drill scene, the Comerica drill scene. Today, we're here to have a brief conversation. A fun one. I say fun because we're touching on all the things that has to do with the term itself. First and foremost, I think we're going to find out whether it's a term, it's a genre, or it's an idea that is here to stay. Okay. So we're here to have fun pretty much. If you're here with us, if you have questions for any of the discussions that we're having, of course, it's going to be all of us talking. Just kindly note your question down. Apart from the panelists, the rest of you guys will have the opportunity of asking your questions to any of us here when we get to the Q&A session. So it's going to be a very brief one. I'm not here alone. Let me quickly introduce to you guys Michael Yamwa, who is a lecturer at the Academic City University. He's a lecturer for journalism and then mass communication. He's on the screen right now. Guys, say hi to Michael. And then there's Sela Ajay, who is my celebrity. I call him the star here. Yesterday, we had the opportunity of you interacting with him, and I learned so much. I believe you guys are going to learn a lot from him. He's an arts educator and a research fellow at NAFTI as well. And then we have Mayor Deborah. If you are a big Twitter person, you know the name Mayor Deborah. He's a seasoned blogger and journalist for Ghana. He's been to everywhere. He's an entertainment pilgrim, I call him. He's been to the BETs, he's been to the Mamas. Every entertainment show in the world, Mayor Deborah has touched base, with. And then there's David J. Frimpong, who is the PRO for Comerica. So I believe today a lot of the conversation will circle around what he stands for. He understands the term more than anyone here. And so that's how we're going to go. But we're definitely going to start a presentation by our keynote speaker here. And he is, we're not going to waste so much time. shouts going out to the 181, viewers. On our Facebook. I'll take time to mention
Hello, everyone. Sorry about the interaction with the internet. Rev Eskin will be coming back soon. At the moment, we would start with Sela Ajay, since he is still here. He's our keynote speaker for the occasion. Sela Ajay, if you are here, you can start your presentation while we wait for Rev to come back to the program. Thank you.
Okay, so can I go ahead and share my screen?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, so can you see my screen? Can you see everything?
Yes, we can see it. If we can get it in presentation mode.
It's in presentation mode.
Okay, all right. Then please, you can go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so I'll just introduce myself quickly. My name is Sela Ajay, and I'm a lecturer at NAFTI and also a research fellow. And I just want us to have a fair idea of what this whole American hype is about before we delve into the discussion. And I first of all want to really point out that Comerica, as we all know it, is not necessarily a term. It's more of a philosophy than a term. And maybe after my presentation, you understand what I mean by Comerica being a philosophy rather than a term. Because if you look at it just as a term, we are going to miss a lot of important factors. Hold on 1 second. Yes. Okay, yes. So, like I said, we are going to miss a lot of important factors because it cuts across mainstream culture, not just music alone. And Asaka has actually popularized this whole philosophy for everyone to see what this whole notion of trying to merge Western derived culture and Ghanaian culture. And the picture you see on your screen is the members of the Living Life Records, the stars behind this whole American space. Okay, so I need to first distinguish between what Asaka music is all about, the difference between Asaka and Comerica. And it is surprising to know that the unique term Asaka, which was coined as a way to claim ownership of this unique music, has been overshadowed by some of these Western terms like Ghana drill, Kumasi drill, Chi, trap, and all those terms. But Asaka is actually a unique term. And if you speak to the people who coined the term, which is the Living Life record members, they'll tell you that it's actually Kasa spelled backwards with an A in front. So it becomes Akasa, but it's been spelled backwards, so it becomes Asaka. And that's the term that they use to define the kind of genre that they created. And just like how the new wave of young hip hop rappers in Ghana wanted to distinguish themselves from the hip life generation with the label GH rap. I don't even know what that means till today. Now, for those who don't know what drill music is all about, drill is a subgenre of trap music, that new wave of hip hop generation, the kind of hip hop that the young generation loves and identifies with, but the old generation of conservative hip hop lovers despise and claim is trash. And just like the kind of resistance we are facing in Ghana in response to Asaka music. And drill started somewhere in Chicago around 2010. And usually Chief Keef is referred to as the face of the genre, but the UK rappers took the music and reshaped it to how it sounds and feels now. And UK drill has become one of the most popular hip hop genres in the UK. And it's important to also stress on how the older generation of hip lifers first met Asaka music with resistance, because it's a common trait of emerging popular cultures. And if you speak with the manager of the Living Life Records, you realize that they faced a lot of stiff resistance in the music industry. Of course, there are gatekeepers in our music industry, and some of these new genres are seen as, a way to overturn some of the existing structures, which, of course, we know how that turns out. And in any way, so this is more like history repeating itself, because when Burger High Life first emerged on Ghana's music scene, it was shunned by the older generation of High Life musicians who saw it as an inferior version of High Life. But today, look at Burger High Life and how it has shaped music, and even high life music and even hip life music. You see influences everywhere till today. And the same thing happened to Raga when it first emerged on the Jamaican musical scene, with some, top artists like Culture describing Raga as a waste product of reggae. And let me just move on to my next slide. So now I just want to really give you an idea of what this whole American songs you are seeing on YouTube and hearing is, leading towards, because this is more like profiting off the fame of the Living Life record guys who came up with an EP called Straight Out of America. And then all of a sudden we see so many American songs coming out, but the term America doesn't necessarily identify with the genre of the kind of music the Living Life record people are playing. And if you listen to their music, if you listen to the beats, the aesthetics of their video, their dressing, their lifestyle, the fashion, everything is slightly different from what we see in our mainstream hip life videos. And I'll show you why some of these many songs and videos you are seeing shouting America, America is still following in the hip life tradition, not necessarily Asaka. It might sound like they are singing, in line with what the Asaka people are doing, but there are some stylistic differences. Yes, you might, clump or sum all of them up together, but there's some unique quality to the Living Life Records people. And if you look at it more from an angle of the aesthetics that make up the whole musical genre, you understand what I mean. And how many of you are aware that even before this whole American term came, there was an older generation of hip life rapper called Teaspoon who had rapped about the same issues in a song called Ghana Danny Yankee. And let me just quickly show you that video over here, and then I'll just give you an idea of why I'm saying that these guys are still continuing in the hip life tradition. So watch some of these videos. This is Reggie Rockstone. Can you get my audio, please? Do you have audio?
No, we don't have audio, Stella. We don't.
How about now?
We have now.
Diego, a branch ding ding, the Kuramu painting, the friendly flow gang. One song, mommy kill boy. Hey. When the gang gave Baba to sound call free. Hey. One song, mommy kill boy. Hey. Or say Chrome boy slave Baba to sound call free. Hey. Y'all homies better. Canada Yankee, yeah, my name was Canada Yankee. Yankee, and you never sunti, Canada Yankee, and by never sunti, taking over, sober and quicker, Canada Yankee, and my never sunti, Canada Yankee, and you never sunti, Canada Yankee, and by never power. Get him out of New Jersey.
That was the one I was first referring to by Teaspoon. It's titled Ghana Danny Yankee, and it's basically saying the same thing, but not necessarily saying Comerica. So you see that the idea, the philosophy is still there, it's still embedded in the music, in the lyrics, in the mannerism, and the merging of some of these African American rap street life culture with Ghanaian musical culture. And Sarkodie also sang about the same issues in Boga Boga, and I bear them what you see in YP's video with him trying to make comparisons between Kumasi cities and American cities. Adam, like 10 years ago, did something similar by comparing Ghanaian rappers over here to their American counterparts over there, which tells you that the idea has always been there. It's just been accentuated through this Asaka music. So I'll show you the video and then I'll just add a few.
Yes, it beef better, God have mercy.
How about your throw up tie in your cotton, Bobby Buster rhymes? No boy, you 50 cent, the Gina Usher line. Gotcha, hey, gotcha, hey, gotcha, gotcha, hey, gotcha, hey, gotcha, gotcha. Now, who buy in your billing, Peluda piece? Hallelujah, yeah, in your Sakumona, Jada kiss. Gotcha, hey, gotcha, hey, gotcha, 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 hey, gotcha, hey, gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, you bring your cocoa, I don't get cocoa, I don't need my tea. Gotcha, hey, gotcha, hey, gotcha, 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 hey, gotcha, hey, gotcha, gotcha. Gata away in your Osukasi. I am a gata in your Laboni PDD.
America and yet some keke do a physical. Uba was secret now you get it through for a wahaba cope me a plimica. Mama men started what my social media for say your friend at Texas. Upe ukra Game Boys and make here a brema for trespass. Me free her a hen and make up. Ebenezer from a quadruple. I handle your Georgia, what I did what report and she and a baby de cro. They chance to your West Virginia.
Okay, so I'll come back to the videos real quick, but let me just move on to the next issue. So you see from the videos that I showed you that the idea has always been there. The philosophy has been running through our music, our literature, our fashion, our movies, and it goes way back. And even if you listen to Ebo Taylor's song, what's the title? Abrotre. He talks about the same issues that Sarkodie was talking about in Boga Boga. This whole notion of the Bantus or the returnee America coming with this superior Western standards and doesn't want to identify with indigenous people and all that. It's been caricatured in almost every creative field you can think about in Ghana. Even Kobina Sechi also caricatures the same thing with the bosom fields in the Blink card. And Paul Ansar also touches on this whole notion in his film. Is it Love Brewed in an African Pot? You see traces of some of these colonial ideas over there in all these creative production. So now, how do you identify drill music, and what are some of the defining features? So you usually see, some of the popular themes you see in hip hop as well. There's the braggadocio. Now, for those who don't know what a braggadocio is, it's more like what we hear in our everyday rap. Sarkodie is a typical example of someone who displays massive braggadocio. My rap is better than yours, and my rap is PhD, yours is kindergarten. That kind of language. There's also the voyeurism where, some of these rappers derive, pleasure from seeing women twerking and all those things. And there's ostentatious display of wealth, power, and all that. But drill goes a bit deeper. You see, an open display of drugs, brandishing of guns and weapons, booze, and they mostly wear ski masks, make gang signs, and proudly show their tattoos, and also some level of glorification of crime and street life and all that. Okay, so and a lot of you are wondering why Shatta Wale was one of the mainstream artists who jumped on this whole American bandwagon to support the movement. And some of these so-called American rappers criticized Shatta Wale in their songs for coming to claim so-called some of the glory. Now, if you go on Shatawale's Instagram page, you notice that his handle is at Shatawale Nima. And there's a reason for that, because Shatta identifies himself with a ghetto community where all these ideas come from, and was able to quickly relate to the struggles of the young Asaka rappers, because he has once been there. He rose from where he, from the ghettos to where he is today. And the thing most people are failing to recognize is that if there should be any form of anthropological documentation on this whole notion of America, then all roads lead to Nima, because anywhere you find Zongo communities, the American idea is there. You find young people in the ghettos, in the Zongo communities, with a strong desire to travel abroad and make it to support their family back in the Zongos. And VIP, was one of the early rap groups that, was into all this Akata with the baggy jeans and the chains and all those things. And if you go to Nima so today, there are American bases in Nima. Yep. It's on record. And Customer did her, I think, her doctoral research just on Nima bases over there. And these are bases which are formed and named after American cities. So there's the Chicago base, there's the New York base, there's even there's even European country bases over there. Holland base, there's England base, so many bases over there. And these are merely people. Some of them are, visa rejects, and if you've been bounced like 5-6 times, you go and sit there and count your losses. So they form these loose associations where maybe, after work they come and sit and discuss, their troubles and visa issues and how they aspire to travel, and when they go there, what they'll do, because there are people who have made it, just by traveling abroad from the ghettos and, made a decent living. Okay, so I'm going to show you, I'm not saying that with all this, I'm not saying you only find young people in the Zongo communities who are the only ones aspiring to travel. Of course, you find a lot of elite university graduates and even professors also, going along the line of this whole brain drain thing. And even Kajsa Edu did her PhD thesis on that as well, on university graduates, and she was trying to understand why every university graduate, from and tech wants to bother right after school and all that. I mean, these things are online. If you do your research, you find a lot of that information over there. So I'll go back to the videos again and show you some of the aesthetic features that define this whole drill scene and this Asaka, and how the Living Life record try to merge, these two cultures. And a lot of what a lot of people also are failing to recognize is that some of the top artists leading the UK charts in the UK grime and the drill scene are actually of Ghanaian origin. There's Dizzy Rascal, who's from Fada, so there's Little Pizzo, there's Stormzy, and there are a couple of other people. I can't remember all their names, but a lot of them are from Kumasi. And some of these local guys on the rap scene in Ghana and Kumasi look up to some of these guys. So it's not only they trying to copy American or Western cultures, they are also seeing, some of their relatives in the UK making it big, and they are also drawing influences from that. So I'll show you some videos from the UK scene, and then you can see, and then I'll compare that to the Asaka music videos, and then you see where some of these influences are coming from.
All right.
I'm having issues going back to. Okay.
Is it good now?
No, I want to go back to the videos and.
The ones you played earlier?
Yes. 1 second. Let me just stop sharing my screen. Okay, good.
Sure. So guys, in case you just joined us, that is Stella J giving us a presentation on Comerica. Before, the conversation begins, we need to find out what the term is about. He just corrected us that it's not a term, it's a philosophy. So it's basically breaking things down for us. I think he has about 10 minutes more to go. And then after that, You guys can come in. But through all that, if you have questions for him, if you have questions on anything that he's touched on, kindly jot it down. At some point, we'll open the line so you guys can, come in with your questions. I think it's ready to go back in.
Okay, good. Yeah, so this is Chief Keef, and I'm showing you some of the features that I outlined over there, with the gang culture and the gang signs and the booze and the drugs and all that. So you see some of the sources from the original, creators of this, whole musical genre that the Asaka people are.
Stella, are you good? Okay. All right, so we acknowledge a question from Ni Norquay Fred. Ni, when it's time for us to get the questions in, we'll definitely point yours out so that we can get answers from Stella, okay?
So this is the Asaka music that I just want you to see. I just showed you the videos from the UK drill scene, and now you can look at the Asaka and you see where some of these influences are coming from and where they derive some of these dance forms and, you know, the aesthetics, you know, that hood type of video, okay? So this is Akata 4 by Kawabanga, Jebad, Okenete. Okay, great. So this is another one. Okay, so let me just quickly go back to my presentation and finish up. I hope you can all see my presentation. Hello, can you see my presentation?
Yes, we can see your presentation.
Okay, do you have sound? Do you get sound?
Hey, Wanda. Yes.
Okay, great.
Hey, Wanda. Yes. Wanda. Listen, look at it, Tantana. Hey, what are you going to and don't send for more? I don't know why we wish one prayer. No purpose to read a mala. That's what I'm going to follow the garden at the
Beyond you know, this high life references, if you listen to Nyumkro, you notice that some of these ideas have been passed on from generation to generation, you know, by the Menshia Nyumkro singers. And you need to first understand the group psychology of the people you are dealing with. And in the past, you know, not only the accounts, a lot of, you know, the ethnic groups were itinerant traders. They were migratory people. They don't stay in one place. And sometimes they even think about some of these things in their songs because of frustration and how they want to, you know, improve their living and all that. But the song I come to play right now is titled Akwantukesi. It's not directly related to America, but if you listen to the lyrics, that if you understand trees, you can still see influences there. And you can even see the stylistic influences, the aesthetic influences of Nyumkro, even in Asaka music, and I'll show you. So just listen to this one, the Akwantukesi introduction on the Hewale New Traditional Songs of Ghana album.
My
kwantukasia yanume. Amamu ayebu ya kwantukasia yantrafaku. Okoko wenimana kuidom. Ayanume na mama yankobio ayomanye.
Okay, so let me just quickly play
I love Chris Rich.
Distinct genres, you still find them trying to tap into the indigenous musical feel and some of the ideas and the styles that is indigenous to the Kumasi area. So because I don't have much time, I actually wanted to briefly touch on the historical context of this whole Kumerica thing, but maybe in the discussion in the webinar itself, maybe some of these ideas will come up and I'll give better details. So I think I'll bring my talk to a conclusion here, and then maybe if we are, during the Q&A section, I'll expand further. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Stella, and thank you everyone for your patience. Stella, I guess you can continue till Rev comes back on the program. His internet went off, so you can continue, and when he comes back, we pick it from there. Thank you.
Okay, sure. All right, so like I was saying, so Kumerica, as we all know it, might somewhat be a new neologism, but the underlying theme has always been present. It's a philosophy, it's a group psychology, it's a state of mind that has always been with us, since the colonial era till today. And for all you know, the pandemic and the lockdown restrictions, which limited people's movements, weighed heavily on the minds and lives of these young boys, living in the ghetto communities and the zongos, and some who are probably waiting for things to get back to normal so they can reapply or follow up on their visa applications, and waiting for their American visas to be reviewed to enable them travel to Europe or America. So if in the meantime they can't travel to America due to some of these unforeseen circumstances, then they might as well bring America closer to their neighborhoods and create these mini American cultures in the local communities in Ghana through their music. And that is what it's reflecting in their music and in their lifestyle. And as Fanon says, in every society, there's this what he calls collective catharsis, where frustration and agitation and maybe stress and depression forces people out, to channel all these energies, sometimes through music, dance, film, performance, and all those things. So there's some level of discontent which is being forced out through the music, and I think it's a clear reflection of what is happening in the society and what some government officials might be sitting somewhere watching these things on their screen and say we shouldn't be seeing these things on our screens. Why are these young people openly displaying gun culture, drugs, and voyeurism on our screens and all that? It is the musicians holding a mirror to society and reflecting back to you what they are seeing in their communities. It doesn't necessarily mean they are the thugs and they are the armed robbers and gangsters in the neighborhood. They are actually reflecting to you what they encounter on a daily basis in their communities. These are people who live in crime-filled communities.
Yes, thank you so much. I think yes, your time is up. It was far up, but then I went off. You said so much about the ideology behind, Kumerica, it being a philosophy and that. I want to build the next set of questions from things that you touched on before, I cut in. You mentioned the fact that, out of, frustration, people not being able to go out, this whole COVID thing, drew them a little bit closer to the entire, the frenzy, the whole buzz around Kumerica and that. I just want to find out from you before we go on to my panelists. Do you think it would have made so much impact if it had popped up during regular times? I mean, normal times? Do you think?
Not exactly so. I think the lockdown also actually fueled the kind of fire that this whole American movement generated, because people were hungry, for content and things just to get out of this whole boredom, and they rightfully served people their appetite. So I think it wouldn't have had that much impact than it has, within this COVID and this lockdown time, because you are forced, you are compelled to consume whatever they have to offer, because you are trapped at home and everything, has come to a standstill, and these things are hitting you, even though you might despise it, but you still, see it as an escape, to boredom and all those things. So I think it's had more impact during the COVID than it would have had in regular times. I'm unable to hear you. I can't hear you, Rev.
Is it back now?
Yes, I can hear you now. I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Rev,
I can
you are
hear
playing.
you.
Great. So I'm glad we're all back now. I want to start off with Ameao. I mean, for someone who's so much inclined with social media, I mean, you know all the trends with that. You've seen a lot. You've seen a lot in the past. You've seen how Azonto music came up. You've seen how a lot of, people have made memes along they've gone missing, along the line due to the springing up of other terms. I mean, other trends that people have received so much. For you, I mean, the very moment you hear the term Kumeri, what comes in mind? Is it something that sits well with you first and foremost? How educated are you on it?
Well, until today, I had not thought about the ideology as has been well expounded by him. But then it comes back to whether it's a term or an ideology. And even your question sort of splits it still, because like you were saying, I'm sure Azonto could have also represented that same ideology, but then it was a term that at some point was representing something. So I think America has come as a term, and for me, it represents the Americanization of people from Kumasi. And even if you're looking at it from the word itself, that's what you conceive. And even when you look at the trend that came with it, you could realize that it was people from a certain part of Ghana who were proudly putting themselves out and saying that, yes, we are these people, this is us, etc. So in that sense, that's the way I want to look at the American term. And in a way, like compare it to Azonto, I think it's only time that would let us know, because realistically, even now, you realize that the American term isn't as strong as a couple of weeks when it really started, and it was all over the place. So it might also easily become just another sort of a fad that will go away very soon. But if it's in terms of culture, in terms of music, if it represents something, we will still see those traces, like he said, whether it's Asaka or whatever it is, since there's a culture behind it, it will still linger on and people will consume that kind of music. But the term as Kumerica itself, I'm sure at some point may get missing.
May get missing. Do you think it will fall away or fall off because there's no particular identity? I mean, or originality wise, do you think it defines the identity of what they're trying to push out? The fact that the name itself even is from America. I mean, the whole music genre is picked from somewhere. I mean, people are trying to sort of like.
So I think it will go away because it became popular.
Mimic the lifestyle of people who are somewhere. Identity-wise, it's going to stand.
In terms of identity and the way people go about their lives, it will still be because they do live that way if they do. But in terms of the buzz around it, it became pop culture phenomenon because of the way it was trending and spreading. And without culture of trending, things also get lost after they've trended for a while. So in that regard, that is how it's going to get missing. But if there are people who this is their way of life, whether you call it America or not, they will still live that way. And like I'm saying, maybe another new term will come to now take over that style or that mentality that they live with. So that's how I would look at it from now.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to move on to my next, panelists. But before we do that, let's acknowledge the presence of Dr. Fred. Dr. Fred is the president of the ACity. He's the president of ACity. Yes, ACity University. Pardon me for that. ACity University. He's right here with us, and I'd like to say a big thank you to you, sir, for sponsoring this great initiative. I mean, we're having so much fun on here, learning so much about something that people don't really want to pay detailed attention to. Let me talk to you, Michael. All right, you are a lecturer, and I mean your expertise, your field of expertise is with imparting knowledge to your students. You've heard a lot, said by Maman Salah. From the educator's point of view, do you think the term itself, all right, now he's mentioned that it's not a term, a philosophy. Do you think it's something we can build history around so much that in years to come, let's say 4 to 5 years to come, we can speak about, we can actually teach students about the hip lives I've done?
Yes, thanks, Rev. Obviously, with a presentation from Dr. IJ, he's also an educationist and a research fellow at NAFTI. And you realize that with his presentation, he was able to take us back into the classroom, academia, and then even research with some of the basic things we've taken for granted. We, in the past, have all read Kobna Sechi's Blank Cards, where Mrs. Abrosem with seen cultural products like Conscience, Love in the African Port, or Heritage Africa, where you have the main character changing his name from trying to Americanize or British or Anglicize everything African about him because he wasn't proud of his identity. Today, we are discussing America. And these thoughts, even from here, lessons from the 60s, Eboteles concepts are all coming in. Philosophy isn't something that will go away. It will forever be with us. So in research, definitely underlying philosophical issues to everything. So being a mass communication teacher, there's even a reason I'm not just in the classroom, I'm also an industry person. Yes, I'm with Dameya, Deborah Senko in the field. And as much as we are teaching, we are bringing basic things that are close to us, to reality, to our students, exposing them. Even the seminar we are having today, the webinar, when people say like, why America? What does that got to do with the university? Why your university descends so low to discuss something that's a social media fad? But I think we're all learning something from it. So it is something that's going to live with us as far as the philosophy is concerned. As a movement, yes, Ameya Debra believes it will go away, but it's likely to be with us for a long time. If we clearly look at the aspects of it, look, anything that is pop culture should have that mass accessibility and appeal. How are they doing that? And the identity politics will always come with it.
Yeah.
How have they been able to call that identity politics? There's a paper I once did about Kumawood, looking at the Kumawood model. You see how we ridiculed Kumawood when it started.
Yes.
People thought, yes, no, Kumawood is for the low class. What do they see? It's just they do not understand English. They are a bunch of illiterates, but they were able to move that culture. And it faced a lot of resistance. Even the name, even Kumawood, is something that even with among the industry folks, with the Kwame Dazis or Sapontonis and written several articles, we are still debating. Even with David Donto, still coming out with the name, even why we should even focus on the wood, because the wood is more or less also Americanizing our movie industry because of Hollywood. So he, for example, proposed, let's look at anything that is indigenous, Ghanaian, Namibia. And these are the same resistance and identity politics that's playing along with even the America. But how and why was Kumawood able to sustain themselves? Yes, they were able to try because they stuck to the identity that they believed in, something they were comfortable with. To the extent that, look, the paper I did, I traced Kumawood into the elements of what we call national cinema. Because for a long time, people look at our cultural product being film and they say there's nothing Ghanaian about it.
Yes.
And it was a mass departure from what we were doing in what we used to call Gollywood or Gollywood. Yes, because you could you watch their movies and the stories were relatable. It picked on Ghanaian stories people can relate. Forget about production issue, even titling, how they uniquely title their movies. We saw Atamochiman, we made fun of it, Dumso Part 1 and 2, and even today, if Kumawood were that vibrant, we would have had COVID, Ejaku, COVID or whatever, yes, as a movie title.
About it.
Yes, and these were basic ways of keeping the so-called philosophy or movement going on, and even the eponymization, how they will pick somebody, a figure, and then center every movie around the person. People saw the negative aspects of it, but for us researchers, it was quite positive because yes, Ejaku becomes the face, Lewin becomes the face. That was a way of moving. Even today, almost every musician is complaining that look, the cultural attaches in Ghana's embassy should pick one or two musicians and make them the face of Ghanaian music.
That's
because
true.
You can't collectively put everything. So why were we debasing what Kumawood was doing? Now, even the marketing aspect of it, and that's one thing maybe David will speak about since he's the PRO of America. The marketing aspect of it, brilliant idea, brilliant concept. What are they doing for it to get to the masses? Because look, this webinar,
the world.
Yeah, this webinar has an aspect of it what we call social media. The social media shouldn't bask in the fad, but use social media to what? Push it. Use the media, the mass media, because no pop culture can thrive without what? The mass media. It should be orchestrated. Now, what made Tema a hub of hip life music at a point? Because of Adum FM, people who cannot tell the hip life movement without take out what Adum FM. They were instrumental. You cannot do away with the media, and this is something they need to carve. Now, for me, solution for them quite easy. Kumawood started with an award, what we call Akoben and Kumawood Award. And even in the paper I'm still working, I believe that Kumawood begins sinking when the award scheme also didn't thrive, because it was built on it. If you look at the concept of national cinema, yes, everything, even marketing, production, these are all part of it. So yes, for what do we call it? Excuse me. For yes, Kumawood, and then its relatively new brother, Kumerica, to try. They need to consciously put in the systems in place. Yes, it may start based in Kumasi, get award schemes working for them. Because look, the basic underlying factor is that these musicians want a breakthrough to mainstream media and mainstream music attention in Ghana, which they are not getting. That's why the likes of Flo Kingston, Amrado and Co. may even contemplate always moving to Accra before they are ahead. So if the institutions are put in place, they develop clear strategies in place, yes, this philosophy will always be there, and the movement will always be there. I don't see it dying. Philosophy don't die. They will always be with us. We will modify them And then we move on to have a clear-cut industry. Right.
All right. But I mean, just one thing before we go, I mean, make the answer real brief for me. In modifying all this, I'm back to the identity bit again. This definitely goes beyond just music, right? You're mentioning we taking steps that were put in place to ensure we maintain the brand Kumawood, okay? You cited instances where, you know, award schemes were put up and all that. In this particular situation, I mean, we're going beyond music, okay? If you put the music bit aside, we're trying to bring down communities that are in America here. People are living a lifestyle here. People are basically portraying what is in America. And so should we get award schemes for just that system, or it should be for the music? If it should be for the music, then this question goes to Sela as well, and maybe Dave, because he's the PRO. Why didn't we cook up the name, let's say, Kuma Drill? Because drill, after you mentioned the history, it moved from Chicago to parts of the UK where it was heavily, you know, messed with. The UK people made it their own, and then now it's out here in Ghana. Obviously, it's making waves. Why not Kuma Drill? Why Kumerica? Why try to bring up a name that has to do with America, the society, and not something that has to do with the music, since the music is what brought it down here?
Okay, great. I think you asked a very important question, but I'll answer the Kuma Drill one first and then move on to that one, because that one is a bit dense. You are asking why, if they are displaying American culture, why they should be awarded and all that. I'll come to that pretty shortly. But let me answer the Kuma Drill one. If you notice that I explained what Asaka means in the beginning of the presentation, and I told you that Asaka is Casa spelled backwards with an A at the front, so it becomes Akasa, but it's been spelled backwards, so it becomes Asaka. You understand? And it typically defines what drill music and trap music is all about. Remember, these were people who were rejected by mainstream hip hop community because they claimed they were not proper rappers, and it's characterized by what they call this mambo rap type of thing, where it's like they are talking or they are drunk talking, but it still goes with the beat, like what Chief Keef was doing. It's a measure of talk and rap, you know, in a way. That's why I'm one of the advocates that Ambule is actually one of the early, you know, rappers in Ghana, because what he's doing, you still see it in rap. You understand? And it even goes way back. Those ancestors of us who were doing Apaya and all that, they were the earliest rappers. It's not Reggie Rockstone. You know, I like, there's a clear historical timeline for all these things. If you do proper research, you find your answers there, not in the books of those Fulbright scholars who come and roam in Accra for 8 weeks and publish their thesis as books. Do you understand? So right now, if you have to study hip life in our universities, all roads will lead to either Shipley's, you know, version of the history of hip life in Ghana, which is totally warped. If you speak to the real people, you get a real answer for the real history of hip life in Ghana. You understand? There's no question about this. Reggie Rockstone did not invent hip life. If you go and do your proper research, you find your answers over there. That's not something you can contest. There were people on the scene before Reggie Rockstone came. Now, back to your why it wasn't called Kuma Drill. So the reason why it wasn't called Kuma Drill was, you know, the same rationale in how, you know, the term hip life was coined. You understand? It's a measure of two cultures, same as high life. You understand? These were people who were distinguishing themselves from, you know, an earlier generation of musicians. You find high life, you get bugger high life, and you get hip life. Now you have Asaka. They are also trying to distinguish themselves from the main hip life community, because, like I said in the beginning of the presentation, these are people who have faced stiff resistance from, you know, some of the mainstream hip life guys. You know, in every creative field, even in Ghana, not just music, in the film industry, in the fashion industry, some people have positioned themselves as, you know, gatekeepers of some of these industries, and if you don't go through them, you can't make it. They've positioned themselves as godfathers of, you know, fashion, godfathers of film, and these people are saying, okay, scrap that, we'll come with our own rules. And if you even listen to their rap, they say it. They tell you in the rap, like Ain't Shit with O'Kenneth, Yao Tog and Debad and all that. They said in the rap that they are come to set the new rules, they are come to break the rules, set the standards, bring new rules, and change the game. It's in their rap. So these are people who are rebelling against the status quo. They are rebelling against the existing structures. They've broken it down. Okay, you put down barriers. You not let us in because you think we are an inferior version of hip life rappers and all that. They were laughing. It's actually the trolling of these guys that rose them to fame. If you follow the Twitter thread, people were in Accra were laughing at them that, oh, these are Kumasiano guys and, you know, what they have to offer and all that. But there was some unique, you know, aesthetic quality to what they were doing. And that's people outside Ghana were seeing the quality in what they were doing before Ghanaian people opened their eyes and go, oh, like, let's support the boys, you know, and all that. And Reggie Rapstone was also one of the guys who said, let's support the guys and all that. And then you go and shoot a Kumerica video with Zion Felix and the other guys. And then you are trying to impose rules on these guys again at the end of the video that they should keep out the booze, the drugs, and all that. That means you don't understand the kind of music the guys are playing because that's what characterizes the music in the first place. They are breaking, they are challenging the rules that you've set in hip life and the gates that you've kept over there to prevent some of these guys from coming. So they are just living their life, and that's the name of the rap group, Living Life Records. They are just, these are people living their life. They don't care about what you think about them, or it's their life they are reenacting in their music. Mind you, these are not musicians trying to be gangsters like what you see in Yao P's video where he goes to hire people to come and stage in the video as props, you know, and extras and all that. These are people who were gangsters before they became musicians. It's not the other way around. Are you following me?
So if I'm getting what you're saying right, even within the sect down there, there's a little bit of misunderstanding in finding the proper identity of what you guys really want to put out, right?
Exactly. Okay. So, you know, Reggie Rapstone coming to, you know, set the rules for Asaka music and trying to polish it up and say that don't, you know, don't use the N word, the B word, and, you know, the drugs and all that. It means that you are trying to, you know, force them into a particular line, which is what they are trying to rebel against. They don't want to do what mainstream people are doing, you know, or you can't use moral high ground to come and investigate or try to understand, you know, gang culture, because they are also operating within their own terrain and it has its own rules, street law, street games, street philosophy. If you want to understand it, remove your moral code and go there as a gangster. That's like how crime researchers do. If you want to understand a mafia organization, you need to attach yourself to a mafia group, and when you go there, you can be a gun to kill somebody to show that you are one of them. Then they can allow you to do your research. How about that? Yeah.
Stella, let me cut in at this point. I mean, hold on to that thought. I think I want to bring in David at this point, PRO for Kumerica. David, welcome to the conversation. Now, first thing I want to find out from you, okay? Stella just mentioned one thing. I mean, he just buttressed the point that is quite obvious now. Do you think the whole Kumerica identity is being misunderstood by the numerous players who are trying to come in now to sort of like contribute to building a proper brand out of that? Do you think they don't understand it? David, did you get me?
Do I reach you? Am I clear?
Yes, you're clear. I think your microphone was muted.
Okay, so it's audible now.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, so thank you for having me. Interesting conversations, and I would want to pick on what each and every of the one of the panelists has said, because
make it as brief as possible.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, because what everyone has said holds some element of truth. Yes, some I may debunk, some I would still want to touch on it, because yes, that is the true base of the whole movement. Fine. For let me start with Amiel. For someone like Amiel to see Kumerica as a trend, as a term, it is pardonable because he lives almost 99% of his life on social media, and so he does trends check, and so to him, anything that is able to hold relevance or longevity on social media is what he termed has prospered. And so when someone like Amir Adebra thinks Kumerica is a perishable thing, I would forgive him. But then this is something that is being introduced to the world. Perhaps I will attribute how it has propelled to maybe, yes, the COVID season, because this has been a traditional lifestyle here in Kumasi, seated here in Kumasi for God knows how many years here. And so I would want to reorient people that Kumerica has never been a social media thing. It has never been a fluke. It has never been anything perishable, but it is a lifestyle seated here. It reflects the very average Kumasi person and how they carry themselves, what each of our vicinities and the people who reside there represent in their respective ways. In their respective ways. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. We can hear you. We can hear you.
Right. And so this has always been, I mean, this agenda has been pushed for God knows how many years, but it caught the attention because these guys, I mean, the Asaka boys in question had to make conscious effort to change the status quo or break the code. Now, it was a conscious effort to get the world to focus their lenses on us without Kumasi necessarily being the capital. Because of course, however you want to put it, the capital has the support system and catches the lenses of any foreign investor because it is the capital and it has the support system, the structures. And so it is being pegged above any other city in the country. Okay, so now that the capital has the support system, but we know that we are really the hub of what really defines music, because that is not even up for debate. If Professor Ayamwa and maybe other people agree with me that we have always been the hub of music, pop culture, and creative arts over here. And so we lost the glory. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Continue.
Right. So we lost the glory because, yes, of course, the support system was based in the capital. All our producers, all our musicians, after building that leverage here, had to relocate to the capital to get recognition they want. Okay, so are we going to play a second fiddle when we know we control the pop culture, the rap culture, the high life culture, everything here? No. And so, fine. Moving forward, now hip hop is taking over. Hip hop is taking over. Well, the very first person who started musical revolution it still calls himself an Osekun president. Yes, we duly acknowledge. And remember, any revolution that comes is met with different reactions. Some will be pessimist, some will be pessimistic about it, some will be optimistic. It will met with different energies. I remember Radio Stone telling me, I read somewhere that when Radio Stone started injecting a little bit of hip hop into her life to bring the hip life, it was met with different reactions. Someone like Jokoto, Jokoto called it Kasa Basa Basa. It was later that the likes of David Donto said, no, looking at the thing, it has direction and it is Kasahari. So, I mean, this is what 20 years down the lane has fed or has been the second highest employer of the youth 20 years down the lane. There were people who saw it was going to vanish maybe in the course of like a year or something. So narrowing it down to this place, the Asaka music just drove the whole ideology, but the Asaka is not America. Asaka is what drove it because music carries that force that is able to let people focus their lenses of and then probe into what it is through music. So imagine there has not, the whole system has not birthed a musical genre. Maybe we would have still be enjoying it within our scope in Kumasi, but then Accra people will not be talking about it. Because ideally, if not for the music, I don't think we would have been holding this conference. So the music is an integral part of the whole movement, but not necessarily the movement. But they are now the driving force of the movement. Now, talking about Asaka, if the first gentleman who did the presentation, apart from, I mean, going into the nitty-gritties or the whole thing about the Asaka music and what drives it, let's pay particular attention to our art covers, the art covers they use for their music. He showed one of our tracks, sorry, Akata 4, we have this. If you study keenly, you will get to know that it is to even as it were clear up the notion that we are trying to as it were dilute the culture and Americanize it. Yes, of course, but then the fact is a chunk of the youth are drawn into a foreign pop culture, which is hip hop. And then they are losing touch with the Kumasi or cultural identity of Ashanti region or Kumasi. Okay, so
Dave, yes. Dave, let me cut you on there, right? if you're saying the intention is not to solely Americanize the system here, but rather to give the consumers a little bit interest by giving them the foreign feel to it, then what are we doing now? Because I was going to ask about the flags that you guys have, the America flag that is almost like the American. You guys almost have all the American states in Ghana now. Are we not driving attention from what is indigenous? What is ours? Are we not taking the attention from what is Ashanti? What is Kumasi? Are we not driving from that? There are a lot of symbols we could have used to define this new system that we have. If we're not taking attention from that, then what is being done?
Okay, so I get you clearly. I would be a hypocrite if I deny the fact that we are injecting, because if we all want to really speak the bitter truth, America is the standard to measure progress and drive progress for every country, irrespective of their culture. Even China has their own way of living their life, but you and I maybe cannot be so hypocritical about the fact that the benchmark is America. Every developmental progress and everything. Okay, so now how do we get these people who are the superpowers to focus on a country in West Africa, which is Ghana, and when they come to Ghana, they would bypass the capital, which has the support and structure system, to come to a country which is Kumasi. It is by using what they believe in to sell us ourselves, so that it will drive them to know what we have got to offer.
Dave, hold on to that too. Dave, hold on to that. Now, have you seen the responses we've had from a lot of the indigenous Americans after this whole trend came out? If we say we're trying to drive attention by mimicking the lives that we live there, if we're trying to catch their attention by doing what they do, they're saying they don't even do it like we do it. I mean, there are colors.
Can I jump in real quick?
Sure.
No, but okay. Hello, I wanted to. Hello, I want to.
Dave, hold on. Let's pick a question from our other panelists. Let's pick a question from him so you draw on that because of time.
Hello.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Can I jump in real quick?
Selak, real quick. Do that for us, real quick.
Okay. So I just quickly want to really disagree with Frimpong on that notion that America is the benchmark. That's why they are identifying with the flags and all that. I think we are missing some important points over there when we say that. We can't just clearly gloss over the fact that the Asaka people, the Living Life Records people, if you listen to their songs clearly, I think they are trying to make a parody of Asante history in their music. Even though, you might think that they are just playing and having fun, there's some deep level of Asante history over there in terms of, Asante, the Asante Kingdom's long history of independence. I think we shouldn't, gloss over that. That's the reason why they put the Kumasi Asante protocol, the symbol of the porcupine, inside the flag. You know what the porcupine stands for? And they even say in their song, you hear Jeba saying that Akata for Apim on the road, and trying to taunt the public that yes, this is the force that we have. The Akata force is equivalent to the Asante military force. You understand? And Asante has also been proven to be a very strong military force against colonial rule. And it's in a way also showing solidarity with the African American community. You see them making Wakanda signs in there. You see them, trying to sympathize with the Americans who are being shot on the street, because their videos were coming out at a time where there were protests of, the death of George Floyd and all that. Like we can't just detach and ignore these occurrences and historical events. I mean, if I had more time, I'll go deeper into this and why you see Okonfa-Notchie's still on the American passport, and all that. Okonfa-Notchie, together with Osei-Tutu, were the ones who led Asante Kingdom into independence, and they broke away from the Dintra overlordship. The history is there. If you go there, you find all these answers over there. So they are trying to reenact Asante military power, Asante independence, and not necessarily seeing America as a benchmark. If anything, I think they are trying to draw solidarity with the African American community because of the historical connections we have with our brothers and sisters over there.
Thank you,
so I think that's something you need to know.
All right, thank you, Salah, for that point. Dave, so you can go back in with that, and then let's round up and move on to our next panelist.
Yes.
You were
Yes, I think I was misconstrued. I think I was trying to put across that if there is anyone even to give credit to for really selling our culture through the music, it should be credit should be going for these boys who we think has Americanized Kumasi or something. And it's all, it all pops up what my friend said, that if you look at our covers, of course, the Asaka, which is the musical genre, is inspired by the very everyday thing in Kumasi. Now, if you look at the genre, yes, of course, it traces historical source from Chicago, and then UK as well. And so that is truly American. Even if you ask the boys themselves,
that is drill music. That is drill music.
Good. Yes. So that is what I'm saying, is that yes, it is the drill music that we have renamed it in our local parlance as Asaka, because we don't want the foreigner to say drill. He comes to Kumasi, he has to say Asaka, because the boys themselves will admit that the inspiration was taken from the global drill genre. But then what do? If we are able to do it in a way that will make the white probe or the person who owns the genre probe what is the meaning of this? Why this art cover? That is why we use the Yasantua word to represent Yebe Sore, Akatafua Buanu Chenku. In a long while, even our hip life artists don't even use the symbols we use to represent our music like we do. They are able to use the undiluted dialect. They are able to paint the picture of the everyday. That is why, though, they are doing an element of people, but they don't show the luxury and extravagance. No, they show the everyday vicinity, everyday life. They project the undiluted tree. So Chenku, it's something that even will get some of you even asking what is Chenku.
Dave, my last question to you, right? Now, since we're trying to find the identity, the true identity of Kumerica, Asaka music and the likes. I mean, all of us here know a little bit of what is going on, but you are the PRO for that. In marketing this brand to the world, all right, in ensuring that we keep Asaka music and Kumerica thriving, I'm using the word thriving because there's a lot of resistance for it and all that. Don't you think, right? Don't you think we should be portraying more of the life that is here? Before you even come in, I say the life that is here because a lot of things that are even portrayed in Yebesore and Akatafwa, Bochenku and the likes are not typical of, I grew up in Ashanti region, right? And we don't have gang violence and people wearing the crib colors and the blood colors and that here. People who watch it outside looked at us funny and said, oh, we have cribs and the bloods here in Ghana as well. I mean, are we not selling the wrong image to the world? Are we not doing that?
Okay, so I understand perfectly. And I think, you see, life living record as an element of Kumer has their target. They have their niche. So if you even see the kind of people who are reaching out to them, these are they are form of tourist attraction for the pop culture and people who really identifies with it. Virgil now officially Off-White, which is Virgil Abloh, is the official clothes liner, and clothes them. I mean the partner of Louis Vuitton. I mean Virgil Abloh, the CEO of online clothing, clothes these boys because he identifies with this music. We have had Vicky Mensa, who is a Ghanaian but signed with Jay-Z, identifying with them. So they have a niche. Right, so they are targeting certain people, but what they do, they don't lose touch with culture. They make sure that we marry it with the element of culture, because whether we like it or yes, the youth are into hip hop, and they are not doing it in a way that even has any element, anything Ghanaian or African or Kumasi in it. So what these guys are doing actually, from the way they say sorry, from the way they from the areas, direction of their videos, and then the dialect that has been used, is something that really targets a particular group of people. And I feel that is the response we are getting. And yes, these guys signs may have their own, but then it is very peculiar to people who understand that that aspect of pop culture. And so I understand people who are not really into the pop culture would have their own reservations, yes. But it's something that as we grow with it, we will come to accept their direction. That is why it's even gaining international prominence as against even the national prominence, because it's reaching the right target audience. It will drive investors in our pop culture, yes, and as time goes by. So I understand your reservations about some of these things, but they have a target.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So for our attendees, I mean, anyone else watching, if you're watching on Facebook, we have a question, you could just post it in the comment section. Mention whichever panelist you want to direct the question to. If you're on the Zoom call right now, to just raise your hand, click on the raise your hand button, and then we're going to get to that. I have about 2 questions for our panelists, and then we'll move into the Q&As. But let's acknowledge the presence of Dr. Fred Makbagun Luri. I hope I got the name correct. The president of Academic City. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much. And of course, thank you going out to our main sponsor, Academic City, for putting this conversation together. Once again, if you're on Facebook, you have a question for anybody here, kindly put it in the comment section. We'll read some of the questions out as time goes by. Amaya, let me come back to you, sir. I want to find out from you, social media-wise, I mean, we're supposed to educate people with trends. People are supposed to learn so much from what they see online. Since we got hold of this whole Kumerica and Asaka vibe, do you think a lot of education has gone down on social media to let people around the world understand all these things that we're talking about now? Do you think we've done enough?
Well, based on discussions that have been had today, I would say no, because I think majority of the people on social media have pretty much consumed what they see on that face value level. And so a lot of thinking hasn't gone down that much. I mean, even if using myself as an example, I got to hear of Kumasi not because of music, but because of the videos of people talking in a certain way, dressing a certain way. And so I think, depending on how you consume it and what you see, it means something to you as what you see. And if it hadn't been for this panel discussion, I wouldn't have honestly heard of Asaka as a subgenre and all of that. I basically know Kumerica as something that is trending. And when Ufori was speaking, I wasn't saying it would go away in its entirety, but I was very specific. I was like, it went viral. It got attention through a specific kind of medium, which is more social media. And my explanation is that the way these things work, it works as a trend. And if there's nothing else new, nothing else to sustain it, at a point, it will fizzle out. And that was why I made that initial comment, because even if that existed for 100 years, nobody knew of it. But within a period, the world came to know of it and consumed it on a certain platform. And if much is not done to sustain that, then the likelihood of it sustaining will not be there, at least within that space. And to be honest, if you gauge the social media, internet space, you wouldn't feel it like the initial sort of trust that came with it. Yeah.
All right. I mean, I also want to find out from you. I mean, we have a lot of music cultures in the world. I mean, right from the beginning, the presentation that we had pointed out UK drill music. Do you think Kumasi drill music, do you think Asaka music, do you think the entire Kumerica culture has a place in world pop culture?
Well, it could have, but
are we well equipped?
I think once it works within Ghana and it's sustained within Ghana, it can go beyond and go. As much as UK drill or Atlanta drill, whatever it is, you would realize that it's usually more rich, like it's based on the locality before it will even go, and often it is even more within the locality than outside. A lot of people may not in Africa may not necessarily consume UK drill as much as people in UK would, and so it's supposed to, once it has space in Ghana, the likelihood of it being sustained is there. because let's face it, if the UK people have their own drill, why should they now come to Ghana if there isn't a sustained something that is keeping it going? Do you get me? So these are some of the things I think we should look at in entertainment. I'm excited that we have a PR person for Kumerica. At least his job is cut out for him. Yes, let's see how well they're able to push it and take it further.
All right. Thank you so much, Amaya. I think at this point, guys, we're going to take your questions. If you have any question concerning this conversation, kindly just drop it through. You can raise your hand if you are in the Zoom conference. Raise your hand. I'm going to pick it up and then, let you speak. If you have your comments on Facebook as well, kindly repost it there again so that we can run with it. I think I have one question here. It says, is Kumerica a culture or just a term? I mean, that was explained earlier. I think Stella mentioned that it's not a term, but it's a philosophy. But now the word culture has come up. Who wants to handle that for us? I think Stella and then PRO Dave will be the best people to talk about this. Is Kumerica a culture or it's just a term?
Well, I think it's a philosophy, and culture is embedded in philosophy, so it's still the same thing I said in the beginning. And I think if you look at it as a term, you go along the lines of Amaya Debra and say it will fizzle, the trend will fizzle out, and if it's been there for 100 years, nobody knew about it, then it means that you are just looking at it as a term. But if you are looking at it as a philosophy, if it's been there for 100 years, it's been present, and people are aware of it for all these years that you claim it's been ignored. Because if you pay attention, if you look beyond the music and the American term, you see it in literature. Aikwama is one of them who does a caricature of some of these American philosophical concepts, and then also Kwawansa, and it's everywhere. I think I think Michael Yamwa dwelt on it severally in his making his references to Kumawu. You find it everywhere. The hip life is also another form of Kumerica, because it's a measure of these two ideas. High life is also one of them. And if you go through our cultural history, you find these things present. These types of dances we do at Independence Day, where people dress like colonial authorities, and the woman with the big bats, and they dancing like the colonial head teacher and all that. These concepts have been reshaped, rebranded, reorganized in several ways. And this is also another phase, but it doesn't mean that it's something that will fizzle out. Maybe yes, the term America might lose popularity. Maybe another new offshoot idea of this philosophy will pop up, which will also gain attraction and all that. But the underlying philosophy will forever remain, because of the harsh colonial history, and the experiences we've had to deal with, our contact with the Western civilization. It's not something that will just die out just like that. All these things that we are seeing now is an aftershock of colonialism. Just like how if you have earthquake, there's an aftershock, for you to know, how, this whole earthquake, the level and the power of the earthquake. That's what colonialism did to us as a people. And these are, the remnants of, colonial domination and cultural imperialism and all that. I hope you understand.
Okay, guys, because of time constraints, you might want to make your answers very brief for me. I'm going to allow Leo Stanley and Ebenezer join in and then ask their questions. Before we do that, I think I have one question here from one of our viewers on Facebook, Lorna Kwate. Good afternoon, going out to you, Lorna Kwate. Lorna wants to know, he says, does our population play a role in us not being able to sustain some of these trends, or it is the education on such? And I think this one can be best answered by David Ajay. Not David, sorry, Michael Yamwa, sorry, Prof. Prof, kindly talk to us on this. Do you think our population is playing a role in us not being able to sustain some of these trends?
I don't think so. I don't think so. That's one excuse Ghanaians have always given for our music, for example, not and our even movies to an extent, not even hitting the world market. Always drawing comparisons with Nigeria. That because of Nigeria's population, the little thing they do, they're able to push it. Then there is a counter argument. What's the population of Jamaica? But what impact are they making in world music with their reggae? Yes, and that's a basic simple answer. If you have a clear strategy, it's not your population. You have a clear strategy in place, a good product, and you know how to market it well, you are good to go. Hey, thanks, man.
Wow. Wow. I think that's a very perfect answer for that. I mean, it brings a lot of attention to the identity bit of what we said and how to even propagate whatever agenda that we want to send to the rest of the world. Anyways, let me allow Stanley join in. Leo Stanley, welcome, Stanley.
Hello.
And okay. Hi, Stanley. Talk to us.
Hi,
Stanley.
everybody. What's up?
Fine, thank you, Stanley. Welcome.
Stanley, so your question for us is?
Okay, I don't have a question. I wanted to give a little bit of contribution. I'm the manager for the boys, the Life Living Records guys. I am for City Boy, DMP.
Great. You have 2 minutes. Talk to us.
Okay, so I wanted to make something a little bit more clear about copying of American culture. I mean, you have to understand that hip hop as a culture has a lot of influence on the world, not just Ghana alone. And in Kumasi, there is still this very a strong hip hop base that is still very vibrant in Kumasi. Even though back in the days when rap used to be the thing and then it changed to the Kolomashi type of beats and now all these Afro beats and whatever and dance hall, Kumasi still maintained that strong hip hop fan base. And up till now, when you go to pubs and after they play all the Shatawalis and everything and you start playing music from Lil Wayne and Birdman or whatever, they still jump to it, they still jump around and they still sing along to it. And it's not really about forgetting their culture and copying someone else, but it's just love for that type of genre of music. And I don't think if anybody loves a certain type of music, they are committing any crime. After all, the dancehall that we are fighting over its kinship in Ghana, it's not even Ghanaian. And we also,
ours, right?
Yeah, it's also from outside. And we also have to, realize the fact that hip hop music is not white man culture. It's very African. It's very black. You know, the people that created it in Chicago, in Bronx, in Brooklyn, that has taken it around the world are people whose ancestors are right from our shores, our brothers and sisters that left here. And they left here with the same type of African creativity that is embedded in us. And they created that. And then automatically we resonate with it because spiritually we are connected in some way. So that is why, it's not about forgetting where we come from or our culture. And remind you, when you come to Kumasi, it doesn't matter if they are wearing jeans or they are wearing cha-cha. They are still very much in tune with where they come from, their identity as Kumasi people, as Ashanti or whatever. That is very core. That is why even though when this whole American thing, the craze started and they were... inventing flags and all that, they made sure that they kept the Ashanti element very much alive in it. And it's not, ditching our own and then taking somebody's, but we are comparing ourselves to greatness. We all on this platform will agree that America is the benchmark. It is the shining city on the hill that everybody looks up to. And if you want to be rich, if you want to succeed in the world in terms of business and in terms of music, in terms of whatever, America is the mark that you want to compare yourself to. So it's not forgetting our identity, but just comparing ourselves to greatness. That is why we make sure we put the Kumasi and then America together to make even though we are doing it like this, this is who we are. We haven't forgotten where we come from. And people were also worried about, they don't do this, they don't do. How many times do people wear cloth or cha-cha to work? Or if that is what we are talking about, then we should stop wearing T-shirts and all these things. We are living in a different world now. We are living in a world where cultures are exchanged. We copy from each other all the time. We've seen a lot of African fashion and African culture, African music being influenced all around the world. What is wrong with it if other types of cultures are also being influenced in ours too?
Thank you so much, Leo. I think your point is well clear. Eben has a question for us. So Eben, yours a contribution as well.
Yes, mine is also a contribution, but I'll still have two questions. And I'll make it as brief as possible. The first is this. The reason why all of these things come and go quickly is because it's characterized by what you call the fat cycle. And the fat cycle, every product or whatever has a cycle. And a normal cycle goes 7. The fat cycle only goes 2, and it's like a peak hill. It's a fast rise and fast decline. So all that needed to be done is to get a content which can sell over time. If you go to a typical hotel abroad, every 5 years or so, they change all the things in the hotel and put new things in there just to attract continual customers coming through. It's the same thing everywhere. If you put up something and people get fed up of it, they may as well push it aside and get something else that is more interesting. So let's understand that it comes with what you call the fat cycle. Now, the other part of it that amazes me is how we want to Americanize it, because as it were, the Kumasi people are probably the second and the only in West Africa also, or the second in West Africa, now, and one of the few that still has its chieftaincy so very much intact. Yes. And with the kingship tradition still ongoing. The Kumasi have the yellow, black, green with the golden stool in as their flag. They have the yellow with the red porcupine in there as their emblem. They have the kente cloth as an etymology. And these are things that you cannot hide away from. You see a typical Ashanti man marrying and you won't put on a suit. You want to put on the kente. And these are things we school somewhere in the Eastern region where people who come from Kumasi and will be wearing Kumasi made Kumade, and we used to call it Kumade. They wear Kumasi made shoes to school. I think that if we are promoting, those are the things we should be promoting. The bit of it, Deborah said is very true, and many a true word is often said in jest. Why do I say that? If you are of the opinion that we are we are giving supremacy to military and autonomy and strength and in power, I understand the Kumasi and the Ashantism to mean hunger and thirst for success. That is how I understand it. Now, if we are going forward looking at people now coming up with passports and ID cards and visa to enter, we are missing the point. The main point is what is the content? What is the content? So now, and in recent times, without sounding political at all, in recent times, we have seen some few regions and other people becoming dissidents and trying to own up to their own to say that we are breaking away. So we also know in history for Ashanti to mean Osa Inti because of war. That is the meaning of Ashanti, because of war. So we know Ashanti people to be fearsome in battle as well. So now let's see one day where somebody misunderstand this whole Kumerica thing altogether, and I think that I have a challenge with the name Kumerica. It should have been something else. And decides to pick up a gun and say that, okay, nobody comes to Ashanti region. I have taken up Ashanti. Then it becomes that is just where I have an issue with when I saw the gentleman say that. And I think that I'll ask him just one question on that. My question will be, because of he being a social blogger, what does he think the content of the entire Kumerica idea, even though I disagree with the name, should be in order to not to get affected by the fat cycle, so it can be something that that generation should come to meet, just as we've come to meet the whole idea of Kumasianu, where you know they wear their own cloth, they wear their own sandals, they have specific cultures relating to burial and all of that, and funerals and the way you must dress even to a funeral and all of this. These are authentic cultures that we must not drive away from. And if we want to embellish them, then we must embolden the people there to, as it were, move it to a different level and not, as it were, adulterate it with a certain kind of either culture or power that will, in the near future, hinder our progress altogether. So that is my question. Thank you so much.
All right. So I think that question would be for all of us, since we're all trying to find or the way forward for whatever views that we have. So it's a question to all my panelists. I think that would be my last question to all of us. After that, I think we'll hear from our president. I mean, we want to find out if he has anything else to add. But it's a question to all of us on there. So Mayal, Stella, Michael, David, we've said a lot of things. I mean, a part of what we've said are our fears, things we fear might happen to this whole culture. In moving forward, what do we think should be the elements of Kumerica and Asaka so much that it becomes a trend or a culture that fits in the world pop culture? It becomes something that is innovative-wise or innovation-wise. It becomes something that will be long-standing, longevity-wise. It becomes something that stands, a part of our music genre and our music history for a while. What do we think should be done? I think I'm going to take a minute from all of you guys, starting from Mayal.
All right, I think I'll go back to what he said. It must be the content. We must get the identity right. The example of Jamaica and reggae, it's because we associate it with them, that is the identity. It's their music. So once we get the content and the identity right and we can sell it, then it becomes something that moves beyond the trend. And if Kumerica is about the music, we should define it. If it's Asaka, that is the music. Let that identity stand out, to represent the music, so that the music grows, and it cannot be around one record label. It's supposed to be something that is, it's thriving.
Something that becomes universal.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, sure. Stella.
Yes. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. So talk to us. I mean, how do we ensure we sustain Kumerica, the culture, its music, the people, what we're trying to build up and all that? How do we make it better?
Okay, so I think the point goes back to, first of all, distinguishing between Asaka and Kumerica. Kumerica is just an offshoot of, the Asaka music. The music itself should be a focal point, because the people themselves have come out with a name, that the name of the music is Asaka. A lot of people haven't listened to the album that spawned this whole American wave. The album is called Straight Outta Kumerica. So first of all, you need to go and listen to the album, listen to the message, and the lyrics and the things that people are saying in there, because music is also a form of social commentary. These are people putting out their grievances through their music. So maybe you might want to first listen to the entire album and get the content of what the people are saying. I have listened to the album several times. I know the message in there. That's why, even without speaking to a lot of the rappers and all that, I know what this whole genre is about. Okay. And then I think I would have to again disagree with what Ebenezer Latte said, about Kumerica, morphing into a successionist group and all that. I think we should be more concerned about Western Togoland. That's more of a threat than Kumerica, because they are the ones carrying the guns and seizing police stations and causing road blockage and all that. We are not talking about that. Yes, we are concerned and threatened about Kumerica. I mean, we should clearly distinguish between what popular culture is and what a separatist group is, until it has been hijacked by a terrorist organization and getting funds from all corners, to cause mayhem and threaten national security and the sovereignty of the nation. I personally think there's no cause for alarm now.
All right. All right. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Stella. And Prof, let me hear from you, Prof. What do you think?
Oh, me. Okay. Thanks, Eskin. Yes, I believe Kumerica has a future. I believe Kumerica has a future. They have a future in the sense that, just a minute, I'm trying to start my video, sorry. Yeah, they have a future in the sense that, yes, there's so much in the name. You say there's so much in the name because, look, name is identity. Today, look, they've been able to capture the world's attention because of what? A blend of Kumasi and then what? America. Now, that's one thing. And one thing I'm happy about with this whole movement is the fact that there's not so much contention about the founders of this or who started it, and then who do we credit it with? Hip Life has come with its own trappings. Azonto surface him up to today. If anybody tries to lead Azonto, there's always resistance. Almost 3 months ago, Sarkodie started what he called trying to revive Azonto. There was so much attention to it. Gasmila came out and said, look, I am the founder. You can't sit in the comfort of your home and say you are coming to revive Azonto because Azonto is not dead. We fought around these things, and then before we realized it is dead and gone. And then others capitalize on it. We know what Kumawood, I will always prefer Kumawood did, and today, nobody is contented. Those who once, even the actors and producers who were shy of even tagged as Kumawood, today they are proud to say, look, we are Kumawood. We are Kumawood. But I remember 4 years ago, no, I think almost 6 years ago, there was a lot of agitation about even the signage at our airport. Why do you come to Ghana and then you are met with the Akwaba tag? Why Akwaba? And the La Traditional Council had a strong case. They were like, look, the airport is sitting on Ghana land, so we shouldn't have an account where they're serving as Akwaba. These are the things we deal with misnomers, names, and all that. So I'm happy there is no challenge with the name. The name America will stay. It will help, because look, the little bits about getting a visa and an ID, for me, yes, it's a strategy, a media strategy that helps us to keep the thoughts, America thoughts in check. Today, yes, I'm driving to Kumawood. I put Kumasi. I put on my social media, and I just got my visa to Kumasi. This does not kill anybody. It doesn't affect anything. Yes, and so if you see a currency, it's just a social media fad. It takes nothing away from the movement or the philosophy. I am in support of anything that is trendy, that will keep the movement going, because look, we need to sell Ghana. Anything we need to do to sell Ghana. So far as it is not acultural, for me, it's positive.
All right, thank you so much, Prof. I think your point is well clear as well. I mean, the elements in the things that people have issues with are just to keep the trend, sustained. So thank you so much for that. I think I want to hear from the PRO. PRO, kindly make it brief for us on this. How do we sustain this? Since you are part of the team, since you are the mouthpiece of the culture, tell us something. What do you think should be done to ensure that we move it from where it is now to where it's supposed to be? All right. So I think our PRO is gone, but thank you so much. At this point, I think I want to say thank you to all our panelists, the ones that joined in, Deborah.
Hello, sir. Hello.
PR, are you here?
Yes, sir. Please, I'm in. I'm in.
Yes.
I need to wrap up.
Can you give us your final words?
Yes, my final words. Please, I need to clear some very expensive notions about this whole separatist ideology that people
brief.
think.
We have less than 3 minutes to go.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. Our monarch, Otumfuo Osei Tutunyame Kessié, happens to be the head of the Peace Council in this country, and so that is even flawed on arrival. I mean, and then because we have now, in no time, we're going to have an international airport. That is what influenced this whole social media frenzy about having a passport. Some of the things that had gone on earlier, it's not really authenticated from our camp, but out of the frenzy of the whole thing, people created stuff around it to really ignite the whole euphoria around it. Moving forward, Kumerica has an organogram. That is why it has prospects. We are instituting things, and then we are going to do. It goes beyond just the music. It has its own corporate identity, cultural identity, and structures to make sure it has longevity. And so there's a lot more benefit aside just the music that we are going to propagate, and we are going to register a strong presence in the country and beyond as time moves forward. So thank you for having me, and I think that's all.
Thank you so much. So that was David Points, the official PRO for Kumerica. We heard from Professor Michael Yamwa. He's a lecturer for journalism, mass communication at Academic City University. Sela Ejay is an arts educator, research fellow at NAFTI. And of course, Mr. Mayor Deborah, he's a renowned Ghanaian blogger. Hello? Yeah,
please, quick one. Let me acknowledge the guy who brought the term Kumerica. He's called Black Foreigner. Black Foreigner. yes, he coined the term Kumerica, and special shout out to him. He's just a young guy, part of the Akatafua Saka music group, who coined the term Kumerica. Let me acknowledge him before I exit this platform.
All right, sure. Thank you so much.
And Reverend Eskin, just a short, a brief correction. I'm not a prophet yet. Yes, it's a social media, one of the social media parts, title I carry because of my social media presence, and not a prophet yet. I hope to get there very soon.
That's allowed as well. So, I mean, you guys can put out your handles.
Rev,
if you
let
want
me
to
say something real quick. I am happy he said that somebody coined the term Kumerica.
Okay. All right, thank you so much.
Also, one final thing also for me. I just want to add up real quick to what the PRO David Ajay said. I think is right spot on, because there are a lot of miscreants, trying to disorganize and give some different ideology to this whole American thing, with people printing the currency and all that. If you follow the news carefully, some key people in Kumasi came out on behalf of Osunfo to condemn that, because that alone also leads to a road, of treason. And if you follow Ghana's history, the chiefs in particular were, in resistance to, some of the chiefs were resistance to Ghana's independence, and they were trying to undermine Kwame Nkrumah's authority in the struggle for independence. So Osunfo doesn't want to be associated with any of those things. So it clearly came out to condemn that act, and it should stop printing currencies with his image on it. That should be established, for everybody to know. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that information. Now, at this point, I think we want to hear from our president. He's with us. I mean, he's been on here observing what's going on. He wants to say a big thank you to him for initiating this, for sponsoring this. I mean, for putting all this together for us. He's in the person of Dr. Fred Bagon Luri. He's the president of Academic City. Sir, if you're on, kindly share a few words with us. Our people are here listening.
Sure. So I've been sitting back quietly listening to the spirited conversation. Let me say it's been quite educative for me. I've heard a term over and over again, but never really knew where it came from, and why we turn our beautiful city of Kumasi, with its rich traditions of century of proud culture and the people, into an American naming nomenclature. But I suppose that will be ripe for another conversation another day. But I do appreciate you guys taking time, and I hope, for others like myself who didn't know much, have a lot to take away from this discussion. I like the sense of friendship that prevailed throughout the debate. And I think that our national leaders have a lot to learn from you guys, because we can always agree to disagree in a manner that is respectful of each other's opinion. So from the team at Academic City College, I would like to extend my warmest regards and appreciation for the engagement today. Thank you.
All right, sure. Thank you so much for this. Quickly, let me just round up with this. Academic City University is a proud initiator of this webinar. But if you want to find out more, if you want to find how you can enroll your ward, if you're a student, you're young, you want to get world-class quality tertiary education here in Ghana, advanced technology education here in Ghana, Academic City University is the school to look at. It's a premium provider of STEAM education. We're based at Hacho Agbuba. Feel free to contact our admission teams on these numbers: 0544 426 4486. That is 0554 0554 264 486 or 0554 264 486. Okay. If you're outside Ghana, just prefix with a +223. You can also log on to www.act.edu.gh. ACT for academic, act.edu.gh, or call us. The number again is 0544 0554. All right, 0554 264 486. So actually look on our pages on here. The contacts are there. You can reach us and get all the information you need. Thank you so much, every single person on here, to the team, Thank you so much going out to Bernadine, to Sushil, to Sydney, to our Kosuya, and of course to our president for making all this happen, and to our panelists for joining, and of course the viewers, Lorna Kwate on Facebook, Ni Norquay Fred on Facebook as well. Who else joined us? Na Aso Yamson, who's a proud parent. We see you there. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful evening and don't stop learning.
Right. Okay.
So the conference is officially over, right?
Yes, Stella, it's officially over. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.